Capital improvements would be more of if they came in and like upgraded a unit or something like that. Like, okay, we decided to come in and completely redo the landscaping on the outside and paint the outside. It would also really be a capital expenditure, but that's something they're probably doing to enhance the property as more of a capital improvement. Yeah.
In evaluating a unit with the capital expenditures, I heard Sue mention that, let's say a roof is, I want to put it in a little more of a gray area. Let's say the roof is marginal. Let's say you're looking at 100 units, there's 19 buildings, and let's say 5 of them, the roofs need to be done.
Mm-hmm.
But they may have a 10-year life on them or a 5-year life on them. Do you take and figure that capital expenditure into the expenses of your coming into the deal? How do you evaluate that? Where do you put that in your financial plan there of figuring out, okay, where are we going to place this expense? Are we going to just include this as part of the cost coming into the investment right in the front end?
Mm-hmm.
Or are we going to say, no, we're going to invest this and we're going to take it out of cash flow? I heard Sue say we never like to take that money out of the cash flow when we're purchasing the unit, I think, if I understood it correctly.
Right, okay.
You understand what I'm saying?
I think so.
So we have a capital expenditure that we know that's going to have to take, that's going to transpire. We're going to have to do it, let's say.
Right.
We're going to raise the money to take care of that capital expenditure right up in the front end of the deal versus running it through cash flow. I'm just asking.
Right. Well, I mean, if it's something that happened and you didn't know about it, you might have to. And that, in part, that's why the banks do that capital expenditure thing, because let's say that happened after the fact and nobody caught it for some reason. Then, it's something that's going to have to be done if the thing leaks or if there's something going on, and that would probably come out of the capital expenditure money in some way, shape, or form. And if you didn't have enough, you'd probably have to cough up the cash. In that scenario. However, going into a deal, if you do a whole scenario and do your property inspections, probably you're going to catch that. That's why we do the property inspections. And what I would do is I would go back then with that 10, 50-page report, whatever, to the seller and say, look, Mr. Seller, love you, mean it, but these 5 buildings, the roof's about to go out here. I'd really, we've gotten 2 contractors to give us initial bids, and it's going to cost $20,000 per roof. So we're looking at $100,000 here to fix these 5 roofs that probably aren't going to last much longer. I'd really like a repair credit I would probably start with, I'd really like a repair credit of $100,000 to do those roofs or whatever. And then you might have to negotiate that back and forth. He might say, well, they've got 5 more years on them, but you might try to get 50 out of him or something like that, because he knows it has to be done. And just see what you can do along that line. And so you could do it that way going in, and that's what I would do. But beyond that, you try not to take much of the repairs out of the cash flow, because it does affect your cash flow if you can help it.
And that's where you would probably prefer to raise those funds. Let's say you negotiate it.
Yeah.
50%, let's say it's $50,000. You would probably try to raise the funds to take care of that capital expenditure.
Probably. Well, in that scenario, let's say that is happening and the seller says, absolutely not, I'm not doing that, but you know that you've gotten a good price and you feel like the cash flow is really strong and all that stuff, and you can, let's say, add in an extra $100,000 to your money raise, and it doesn't really affect your numbers that much, then probably I would do that just to get that taken care of so you don't have future problems. It makes your property more valuable. And, the bank might even make you do that or like that you did that because, you're taking care of a potential problem there. So, and if it works, it works. That's fine.
Are appliances and all that, appliances and refrigerators, where does that fall in this? Is that?
I would consider that to be a capital expenditure because, again, your life on a fridge is going to be, 10, 20 years or something, whatever. So, you can have times when things start going out all at the same time, whatever. And if you're looking at like a B-class property, an 80s property, let's say, and they've never done many upgrades or changes of AC units, you might be aware of that just in your inspection in your mind that, okay, we might have an above average situation going on here with AC units and compressors because they've never been changed out. So we might want to budget. And that's let's go to budget. That's another thing that you'll typically do on especially larger complexes is there will be, every year your management company should be doing a budget because you need to plan. And so they're going to come to you and say, okay, we expect the revenue to do this throughout the year. We expect the vacancy to do roughly this throughout the year. We expect to spend so much on capital expenditures. We expect to spend so much on staffing, and we're going to give our staff a 2% raise and whatever it is. And this is how much we think we need to spend on capital expenditures. And then the ownership will come to the managers, whatever, will come together and say, okay, guys, this is way too high. We can't spend $400 a unit, whatever it is, and decide whether that's the budget. You'll get that all worked out. That budget will typically go in place with the management company, and then they're really supposed to stay within that budget as close as they can. And our management agreement says, if you're going to go outside of this budget item over 10%, I want to know why. If you went and spent, for 5 units with carpet and you were only supposed to do 2 that month, I want to know what happened and why we had to spend that extra $3,000. Because you do that every month, now your numbers are messed up. So, and that's what comes into managing the asset part after the whole purchase process is over, And this, I know you had your hand up several times. I'm sorry, you wanted to get.
We've got an asset that's in trouble.
Okay.
It's actually a mobile home park. It's not ours personally.
Mm-hmm.
Some friends. And I think I know the answer, but I was trying to see if you had any greater wisdom. Plan didn't go according to oil. And so they're taking in enough revenue to either pay the water and the other expenses or the mortgage. They can't do both with what they're taking in.
Do you know why that's in that scenario? I mean, what?
Well, I'm guessing they weren't paying attention close enough to the monthly P&Ls and diving down there. It's been doing this because they've sunk another $100,000 into it from when they bought it.
Okay.
And I guess our suggestion to them was to go back to the bank and try to renegotiate the loan a little bit. Explain the problem, lay the cards on the table, because it can be turned around, but they're going to need an infusion of cash and some time.
Right.
Is there grant money available for low-income housing still?
Is it low-income housing?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, they might try. They might go to call up the city, city hall and find out if there's anything for low-income housing, or in particular, perhaps, mobile home parks or something like that. Another solution might. How much do you know? Did they syndicate it? Did they put it together with investors and stuff, or is it just a couple people? Or
It's a very tight investor. It's not syndicated, is it? Or is it?
Well, they paid for the syndication, but.
It's just 2 people at this point.
that are invested in it? Okay. Do they? I mean, I know there's not a lot of room as far as they're not making anything. But if they were able to get that cash infusion to fix the problem and maybe get the vacancy level up or whatever it is that's causing the problem,
In one way, it's very similar to an apartment complex, because what they have is they have 4 ready-to-rent homes in there, but they got 8 that aren't. And then they've got some empty spaces. So one of the ways you do mobile home parks is you buy used homes, you fix them up, you turn around and sell them or rent them, or sell them on financing.
okay, one thought would be, is
Infusion of cash.
sure. Well, is one thing that maybe check would be, is the property all on one tax parcel? Is it? Okay. Because I was thinking maybe if they had a way they could sell off part of it or something and use the cash to try to fix the other part's problem maybe. Or get an investor to come in on, something in that portion, that they're going to probably balk at that a little bit if it's not running right. But, that might be a suggestion.
It's a local bank. It's not a.
Yeah, and then of course maybe going to the bank, say, look, we're having some issues here. What can we do? Or can we get interest-only payments for, a year until we can fix something like that? Maybe, I don't know.
So we're kind of on the same page.
Right. Right. I mean, it would, since it's not occupied. I mean, the other, is it worth what they're in it for, or is there any equity there technically?
No, not right now.
Okay.
Because it's valued the same way in an apartment complex.
Well, they've got 8 vacant units, so aren't they trying to work to fill those vacancies, or what's going on?
There's 4 rent ready, and there's 8 not ready.
Okay. But they're ready to go. They just don't have tenants in them.
Right.
Right, but just recently.
Do they require like HUD loan or any specific type of loan? I mean, rent subsidy person in there, or is it just? Because I mean, maybe what they could do is just start aggressively marketing those, those units for rent. And even if they had to do something silly, like, I mean, one of the silly things we've done is, okay, for every applicant that comes in and rents one of our units vacant this month, you know, for whatever the price is, we're gonna raffle off a flat screen TV. You know, people in that income bracket tend to love that kind of stuff. And, you know, then again, you don't want to put a dead body in there. I mean, you want somebody that's qualified. But, you know, if they could do something maybe like that to try to help maybe get one or two more tenants in there, you know, to get that enough revenue to pay that water bill, I mean, maybe that would help. Be more aggressive. Do grassroots marketing. I mean, go down to the Walmart and put stuff on the board. Have the property manager, or if they're doing it themselves, you know, for goodness sakes, get out on the corner in a cow suit with a sign if you have to. I mean, whatever you got to do, be aggressive and try to solve that problem. Don't just say here, oh, woe is me, you know.
It's gonna take a lot more attention than it's had.
Yeah. But if they've got rent-ready units, I would think they could hopefully try to find somebody who at least would fill one or two of them, might help them out. If that's the lack of what's happening, maybe. I don't know.